Chair of the Needham Board of Library Trustees. First, I'd like to confirm that everyone is anticipated on the agenda is present and can hear me. When I call your name, please respond. You may need to unmute. Library Director Ann McFate.
Yes.
Dimitri Kyriakis, Assistant Director.
Yes.
Jeff Arnold, Recording Secretary.
Yes.
Thank you. Danielle Tawa, Archivist Technology Specialist.
Yes.
And the trustees, myself, Carol Thomas as Chair, Anna Geraldo Kerr,
Yes.
Kay Cahill,
Yes, here.
Rick Hardy,
Yes.
Tom Harkins. Tom?
Yep.
Yep, thanks. Rod Pettit,
Yes, here.
Jay Fialkov.
Here.
And other than that, we have Joan Smith, it looks like.
Yes.
Hi, welcome. Good evening. Now it's 7:03 on PM on Tuesday, February 9th. And this is an open meeting of the Needham Board of Library Trustees. This meeting is being conducted remotely due to the state of emergency in the Commonwealth and consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March, actually 10th instead of 12th that I see everyone else is using, 2020. The order allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded. This meeting will allow public comment by means of the chat function only. For this meeting, the Needham Board of Library Trustees is convening by Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all participants are participating by video conference. On video conference, please be aware that others may be able to see you, and take care not to unintentionally screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. For effective and clear conduct of our business and for compliance with the governor's executive order and to ensure accurate meeting minutes, I will restate our ground rules. As chair, I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will invite members by name to provide comment, questions, or motions. To the extent practicable and within the bounds of open meeting law requirements for conducting a virtual meeting, we will keep the meeting style informal as we do when we meet in person. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. And please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair recognizes you so we do not speak over each other. You can wave to get my attention, and hopefully others will cue me in if I'm missing that. After members have spoken, I will afford public comment as follows. Any member of the public signed into the meeting as an attendee may submit written comment or question via the chat after identifying his or her name and address only. Dimitri, the Assistant Library Director, will monitor the chat box and alert me to submissions there. The chat submissions will become part of the official record of the meeting. Each vote in this meeting will be conducted by roll call, a requirement of the governor's executive order of March 10th, 2020. I now will request a motion to automatically continue this meeting to March 9th, 2021 at 7 p.m. with the same Zoom ID number, which is our next regularly scheduled meeting should any technical difficulty arise tonight to keep us from completing this meeting. May I have that motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Anna. Second?
Second.
Thank you. And a vote. We've got to do the roll call. So here we go. Jay?
I
Aye.
approve. Aye.
Aye. Rob?
Aye.
Kay?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Rick?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, unanimous. Consent to that. Thank you. Move along. So this meeting is now begun. Let me see. Can we go to the minutes first? The minutes of January 12th, 2021, last month's meeting. Are there changes or comments on that, this set of minutes? I had just a couple things. On page 2, under Friends Rental, I believe Jay suggested that it would be a courtesy to discuss the friend with the friends at their next meeting, and Anne said she would do that. I don't see that particular thing in the minutes, but it could go in just before the last sentence of that section on Friends Rental Collection. And then on page 3, section 5 on financial reports. In the second line, under state aid, it says, before turning to the state aid, it says policy, but it really is state aid and other financial reports. I don't think it has anything to do with the policy. So it could say state aid, and then instead of policy, say, and other financial reports. Those would be my suggestions for changes. Is there any discussion? Let me just put those on the table then. I don't see anybody waving.
No, I reviewed them earlier and made a few edits, and I'm fine with it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much for these minutes. They capture it very nicely. So may I have a motion then to adopt these, approve these minutes as with these 2 changes that I have mentioned today?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Rob. All in favor, Jay,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
Kay,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
Rick,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and Chair votes in favor. That minutes are approved unanimously. Okay, 2-9. Next, Anne, you're up with your director's report.
Okay, first item would be to approve the gift list.
May I have a motion to approve the gift list?
So moved.
Thank you, Rick. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Kay. All in favor, Jay,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
Kay,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
Rick,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and I am in favor. So that passes unanimously. Approved.
Okay. Next,
Question,
Yes, Tom.
how does one make a donation for 2 audiobooks? How is that handled?
person sent a check in and noted in a note, put a note in with it that she wanted the money to go to the purchase of the audiobooks.
And then it can be done that way easily?
Oh, sure.
It's just a check. It's a monetary donation for that purpose. It didn't say 2 books, but just it's a dollar amount.
She sent the right dollar amount. She knew how much they were, and I put the money in the permanent donation fund, and then the bill for the items is paid through the permanent donation fund.
Okay,
Great.
good.
Okay, good to know. So you can carry on, Anne, with what
Personnel, under personnel, unfortunately, Robin Flynn didn't show up on Monday. She's probably mired in mountains of paperwork with the town hall. And I expect to see her next Monday. I haven't heard a word from either person. Okay, now, do we get the trustee officers correct? You all read that paragraph? And you all agree with what was written?
I believe so. The only difference is that Anna has agree to help with the McIver if I run short of ideas or time. So that
And
was,
I had one thing.
go
Is
ahead.
that my note is that next would be Kay Cahill. Actually, Rob and I both come up next at the same time since we were both elected at exactly the same time. So I was a little bit, I felt like next would be either Kay or Rob, and Rob has agreed to step up.
Ahead of Anna and switch with Anna.
Yes,
Yeah.
after Ann. Yes.
Is the reason?
You see what I'm
Anna-
saying?
Excuse me, Anne, would you just explain why you put it in the order that you put it on the list? Is it alphabetical or?
No,
You're muted.
Rob got more votes than Kay did. That was all. It was, the
Why
list
did
was
that-
made. The list was made and you approved at a meeting last year.
No, I'm just
sometime.
asking how you
I think Kay was
decided.
ahead of me.
Kay was ahead of Rob on the list, so I was just wondering how.
I'm on the list? I don't think so.
Yes, I believe so, yeah,
Then why would you go to Rob?
because Kay declined.
If she couldn't do it
That's right.
as
I
chair.
mean, the
Well,
order could have just been arbitrary. I mean, I remember we just approved something.
Yeah.
There may have been no rhyme or reason.
yeah, my only thought was that Rob and I were sort of on, at the same.
You're in the same class, yes,
Yeah.
on the board, yes. So I don't know that it makes any difference, does it?
No, it doesn't make, I guess,
Actually, your
not a big deal.
Cahill does come ahead of Pettit on the list and.
Yes, I know.
Okay, alphabetical, right? Okay,
No,
Maybe it's alphabetical.
not alphabetical, it's by votes.
Excuse me?
It's
Oh.
by votes.
by votes?
Votes.
Oh,
know why
okay.
that would be.
That I didn't know. Okay, that
Votes
explains
from
it.
the public. Votes from the public.
Well, that's a strange way for us to to operate, but whatever it is, it doesn't really matter, honestly. We seem to be all set with the order, and so be it. But Kay, you would move up to chair the following year if you're able.
Okay,
Correct. Yes.
yes.
Okay. Excellent.
Well, I'll actually, Anna, we might want to circle back and ask Anna again. You know what I mean? Because she would be, I don't know how you guys want to work it, but
I don't know. She just had agreed to switch places with Rob, who we thought was after you. So, and you were going to be vice chair this coming year rather than Anna. And then, Anna would move up to
Okay.
vice chair and
All
you
right.
would be chair if things go, the way they appear.
okay,
Nothing
sounds
is
good.
cast- Nothing is cast in stone, as you know. It can be negotiated. Anna?
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for making the accommodations. So working as a team, this is great. I appreciate you, Rob and Kay, to trying to work together with this. So appreciate it. So I'll definitely, I didn't realize I will be secretary, but yeah, I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah, okay, good. So, Anne?
Okay, next is the rental collection.
Tom had his hand up.
Okay, Tom?
Yeah, I think it's great to have the system the way we're doing it, but we don't reorganize until April.
Excuse me?
We don't reorganize till April.
Correct.
Yeah, so
Right.
but it's best to have it in line, but in case there's a huge write-in vote and Jay and Anna don't continue,
Okay,
It
well,
could happen, yeah.
yeah, we're just trying to make people's lives a little bit more predictable, assuming what probably will happen happens. I think
Oh, I
that's
think it's a good idea.
Courtesy
right.
from Anna to say ahead of time that, what she could or could not do this coming year. Anne?
Okay, to the Friends rental collection. I went to the Friends board meeting, as I always do, and the Friends discussed discontinuing the rental collection. There was no objection to the disbanding, but they, like you, had wanted to know what we would do with the space. they want something special because that is special space. It's what you see when you come in. So, and I said the trustees also want to do something special with the space. So we will do
Good, okay.
with the space.
All right, well, I'm sure that you will, it's not up to us as the trustees to decide that. I'm sure that you will make good decisions about something, really you want to prominently feature there,
Mhm.
since it is really a great space to show something off.
Right.
So that's good, and I don't think you really need our approval to go ahead. I mean, you're not buying any rental books now because there's no clientele for rental books.
No.
Yeah,
So as long as there are no objections, the rental collection has served its purpose.
yeah, it did serve a purpose and it was great while it was needed.
Right. That's it. Everything else is under an agenda item.
Okay, well, let's move to building and grounds then. Is there anything to discuss there?
People are outside shoveling snow as we speak,
Yeah,
cleaning everything up for tomorrow.
yeah. Well, it wasn't as bad as I thought it might be. This one isn't so terrible, this storm, but um, please thank Angel and the crew for, their work to keep the building going despite, all the strangeness of it.
I have one comment.
Yes.
On number 2, I'm guessing that's the pantry and not a panty.
I didn't see that.
Which one is that? One of the items? Pen?
Number 2.
Yeah, see, well, that would liven things up, wouldn't it?
Okay, thank you, Jay. Yeah. And number 6, actually, that was 2020, not 2021, which we haven't reached 12/31/2021 yet.
So the elevator is still not working?
It is still not working, much to everyone's consternation. A part was ordered and brought in and it wasn't right. So now they're working on another part.
Oh.
Any ETA?
No,
Is there, how is that affecting all the, curbside delivery gathering materials? Is it very slow?
it affects it. It does slow things down and it's makes things, you're going up and down stairs instead of putting packages on the elevator. So it does take a toll on the staff too.
They're not using the other elevator, number 2?
Too far away.
It's easier from reference. I worked reference a couple of Saturdays ago and it was just, you get your steps in for sure. You go up and
Yeah.
down stairs, but yeah, that's the most expedient way to do it.
Yeah, so I see that. Yeah, it's a lot of up and down though. Okay, financial reports. I guess there's quite a bit on this one. First of all, the state aid.
State aid check arrived today.
Excuse me?
State aid check, the first payment
Oh,
arrived
we did.
today.
Okay, I see that, it was a hefty sum for the first
It was,
payment.
it was one of the largest, if not the largest
Yeah.
first sum I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But expecting that the second, usually it's half and half, but this is not going to be half and half. There
Yeah.
were a number of libraries that had filed for waivers from the qualifications to get state aid. And they'll all be having their hearings and many of them will qualify. So that will cut down
That's
the
right.
amount for the second payment.
Yeah, okay. Understood. But are there any comments about the state aid account report? I see that you have fiscal 21 receipts available for spending in fiscal 22. You have the 30 there, but it might be more,
Mhm.
you just don't know yet. I guess that's what I hear you saying until we get the all
All the
those waivers.
Mhm.
I'm having a lot of trouble hearing you, Anne. I don't know whether it's you're just in and out closer or not to the microphone or
I'm sitting on top of this little
that.
computer.
That's pretty good. Yeah,
Okay.
it's better. Okay, let's move on to the next financial report. And you have put together a proposed list of trust fund spending
Right.
for this fiscal year, which is half over.
Mm.
And I don't know if you want to explain it. I had a couple questions, but do you want to say anything about it first?
I asked all the departments what they wanted, and this was the list I came up with, and
Why do we have New Year's Needham on there?
because they'll ask us for money for sure, if for New Year's Needham, and hopefully we'll have a New Year's Needham celebration next year.
But I mean, in
Other-
fiscal 21 or fiscal 22?
Oh, probably fiscal 22. We'll have the money put aside at any rate.
Okay. Well, maybe we should add for December, just add something to it, leave it in, but say for December 2021 programs or something. Anticipated, whatever.
Okay.
And I was also going to just ask you, you have this item, the last under the Hatch Fund, the strategic plan consultant. Is that the best place for that to come from, or should we use state aid for if we are to hire a consultant, which everybody's sort of assuming, although until last time, I didn't think we'd ever had a consultant to help with the plan. I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea. It's something that doesn't just go without saying that you will have a consultant.
It's your choice. If you don't want it to come out of the Hatch Fund, I can certainly move it over to the state aid account.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder which is under greater attack for having too much money in it. Whether it be better to make more use of the state aid account for this sort of thing, which is sort of a once every 5 years expenditure, not a regular expenditure. How do others feel about that?
It fits our definition of, what we envisioned for the state aid, use of the state aid funding.
Yeah. In my mind, the state aid account is all about rethinking what we do and sort of non-recurring expenses, and that falls under that.
Yeah, and planning of various kinds, I would think.
Agreed.
Rick, yeah, you're on board with that. Tom,
Muted.
can you unmute?
What document are we looking at?
We're looking at the trust funds 2021 annual planned expense request
Yeah, and
for this current fiscal year.
I look at the Hatch Fund and I don't see the, what you're talking about.
The first item says New Year's Needham programs. Is that where you're looking?
Right. Yes.
The last item says strategic plan consultant under that. hatch.
Oh, wait, I thought it was a different category. I see it now.
Yeah, okay.
No, never mind.
All right.
Oh, I took it out of trust funds because that's where it came from last time.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
easier to pay them out of trust funds, and it's easier to get them when you get into state aid. You sometimes get into, you have to go out to bid for things, and
For $7,000?
10, I think, is the limit.
Yeah, so maybe if we go, I guess if we went over, when the time comes, we could, pay it a different way. But I would think that for now, that would be a good thing to go in state aid. Tom?
I think that even if we use trust fund money, we still have to go out follow the procedures.
There's a lot more freedom with trust funds.
All right, well, can we put it under state aid for now? And then if it turns out there are issues, or these issues that you think might be there turn out to be there, then we'll have to reevaluate.
Okay.
How about that?
Carol?
Yes. Go ahead.
So I have an item that may end up, you'll have to say whether you think so, that might need money from trust funds coming up on the website. At some point, we will hit a spot where we'll probably have to hire a photographer or pay for other visual assets that do not come free for the website. So is that something that could go under the, come from a trust fund, or is that the appropriate place to get that money? Is that when that comes up?
Could be, yeah.
I wouldn't know whether that has any kind of limitations for using state aid. Getting the website itself, it wasn't a good plan. We had to go to outside sources for that, but I'm not sure that there would be a difference between trust funds and state aid anyway for that particular thing. And perhaps there would be a contribution by either friends or foundation to that as well. I suppose we could ask for that if need be. So I don't know if this would be the right place. What do you think, Anne?
When the time comes, I think it would, by then we should make a decision. Because we have no idea how much it's going to cost. At least I don't.
Do you have a sense of it, Kay?
I mean, a real ballpark might be a few $1,000s, like 2 to 5, somewhere in that range, depending on what we want.
There would be no problem paying that from trust fund.
Okay, so we might add that in, but you'd rather not do it now before there's any kind of you haven't had a proposal.
This is all for our use. I can put it in any place you want.
Yeah, is there any consensus to doing that or not doing that on the board? Anyone raise your hand if you,
I would be fine with that. I do think we should be able to keep it in the lower end of that range, I would hope. Especially since this should be a relatively small number, I would imagine, of photographs.
Yes, but we also don't know what, they have said that we have to pay for whatever visual elements end up on the website. So we don't know what that price will be.
Anna?
I'm glad you're bringing this up, Kay. I think under visual elements, I would also include some kind of videos, so that's something to consider. So let's be a little bit more flexible with the number, particularly if we have the funds.
Put $5,000 down. Put that in the hatch fund and move the strategic plan to state aid. How's that sound?
Okay, that's okay by me.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion on this? Otherwise, I will, as with that change, that substitution, and just a notation with the New Year's Needham that it's for the December 2021 program. I'll ask for a motion.
I got something else to say.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, the 4th of July parade is contingent too.
Yeah. I guess what this does is it means that if it comes to pass that we need to spend the money, Anne doesn't have to come back to the board to ask before she can go forward with whatever it is. And if it doesn't happen, then it won't get spent. I guess that's really the upshot, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion
I move to accept the trust fund
with that change?
Second,
with that change.
Thank you, Tom. All in favor? Let's do the list. Jay?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Kay?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Rick?
Aye.
Tom?
aye.
And I, the chair, votes in favor, approved unanimously with that change.
And I will make the changes, send you all new sheets, and send you a new sheet on the figures that I have under the trust funds with the gain, loss, and interest in them.
Okay, yeah, it changes the other sheet that you gave us as well, the one you sent today. Because you did incorporate those expenditures into the current encumbrances.
Yeah, same
That's
with
right.
And same with the state aid sheet that you have too. I will add the consultant to that.
Okay,
All right, so that finishes.
okay. Let's see. All right, next is our town appropriated budget. Is there any discussion on that at all? It looks like we're on track to spend our expenses part of the budget, and salaries are a little low. I guess there've been vacancies for long enough that we haven't quite spent. Is that the reason that we haven't
That's
quite?
one of the reasons. The other reason is I have not touched the Sunday money, the Sunday fund, so to speak.
What do you mean by that? Can you explain?
Touched the allotment that was made to pay people to work on Sunday because we have not been open on Sunday.
Correct. Okay. So it's in the budget and you're not using it because it's not open. Okay.
Right.
Anna, were you asking? No, okay. Let's move along. Statistical report. You gave us some statistics as to not circulation, but as to reference.
When I included that in my report, the reference librarian sent that to me. I thought you might like to see that.
Yes. Reference questions 736, directional questions 532, technology 105 questions. I'd have to go back to see how that compares to a typical month. But it seems like a fairly substantial number.
Believe me, at the rate they're working, it's a substantial number because they're getting books at the same time.
Same time, yes, yeah, understood.
And no elevator.
And no elevator, correct.
Right.
Yeah, so you really no idea about the elevator, though.
Soon, I hope, because I'm tired of those stairs too. It's good exercise, though.
Question, these numbers are for the month of January from the 1st to the 31st, or how are we counting?
1st to the 31st.
Okay, great, thanks.
And can you tell me what the status is of circulation statistics? We don't have any.
They're
And
almost completed. They're very close to being completed, I should say.
okay, is Deborah able to prepare them, or you have to have somebody who's cross-trained to do that?
Deborah is doing her best.
Okay, all right. Let's see. Will you send those out then when they come, just in between meetings?
Sure.
Thank you. That would be great. All right. New business, the town manager's recommended budget. The town manager, and I assume to some extent Dave Davison, were supportive of the library, despite what we anticipated. And it isn't the last word. It's just kind of the first word, a preliminary word. So we'll see what happens. But they did recommend in that budget funding not only the technology budget and the capital spending, but taking on the digital books and the World Cat subscription, which we have asked for quite a few years, correct?
Correct. And the reason for that is that they are assuming that we won't be getting any state aid in fiscal 22.
Yeah, well, whether that's correct, I don't even want to say. I know we're in a similar vein. The governor's proposed 22 budget does include substantial state aid, but that's just the first word. So you can't count on it yet. So I think
And
that's
is-
for later. Sorry, Kay.
Sorry. Is overdrive, so are they proposing to cover the cost of overdrive, basic
Both of them, basic and
and advanced? Oh, wow, that's a big deal. That's good news. I didn't see that.
It
Yeah.
is, and yet, as I say, it's only the first word. It may not get approved through the FinCom, so we'll see before town meeting even. So, okay, and can we move to the fees, fines, and other regulations policy that you have proposed some changes for?
practically eliminated, actually.
Remove the page.
There it is. Quite a bit of that policy will be removed if you vote to do away with the fines. And if you have your sheet, you can see all the red that's crossed out, that would all be eliminated. And then there was something new added under renewals, but everything else was crossed out.
I have to say that the language I found confusing, the difference, and maybe it's that I don't understand how it actually works. It isn't just a language issue between reserves and requests for interlibrary loan. When I normally ask for something, I just go on Minuteman and I, request the item. But is that the same thing as a reserve?
Well, it becomes a reserve request. I think you can use the two terms interchangeably, as you are requesting a book and it's going to go through the reserve system. So library bingo.
Well, you have number 2, things that may not be renewed, materials that are on reserve for other patrons.
Right.
So,
Would sound rather funny to say materials that are on request for other patrons.
no, but you just need to clarify because you
You
have 2 different things. You have 2 different things going under reserves, that subheading at the bottom of the second page that goes on to the next page for the actual text. Patrons may place reserves on all checked out library materials. You could put in Minuteman library materials. Or you could just say on all Minuteman library materials. I don't know. It's not really clear to me how the system or the computer system software works.
When you put your request in to reserve an item, if we have it and it's available, you get it.
Mhm.
If it's available in another library, you'll get that copy because that's quicker than waiting for our copy to be returned.
But if there's, when it comes time, that would either auto renew or not, if there are any requests out for one of how many in the system copies of something, does it auto renew or doesn't it auto renew?
It'll auto renew as long as no one else is waiting for it.
If there are no other requests for that item?
Request or reserve, call it what you want. If
Okay.
someone else wants that item and has filled out the computer sheet there, you can't renew it.
All right, so, I think I'm actually very much in favor of eliminating the fines. I do think that this is a bit confusing where you have one section that says reserves, the next section says interlibrary loan requests. So it seems like all that kind of ought to be one thing, or you think that it's really 2 things, but it isn't. It's really one thing. Requests through interlibrary loan and reserves. Maybe you could just look at that aspect of it.
I think of reserves as on our own materials, but I think the 2 terms can be used interchangeably. What do you people think? No?
Do you find, Danielle, you haven't said one word yet tonight. It's your turn.
I was just looking and I'm wondering if, and I could be wrong, I'm wondering if some of the confusion is between requests and non-Minuteman ILL materials, which I think aren't would those still be charged because those are not Minuteman materials?
Well, there's an exception for auto renewal on non-Minuteman Library Network loan materials.
No,
Ah,
I think what Danielle is getting at is the fact that if it's something that has to come via OCLC, sometimes there is a charge. We usually ask for non-charge items. However, if it is a charge, sometimes the patron will offer to pay for it. And when it comes to renewals on things that are coming from other network libraries in the state, we have to do a special request for those to be renewed. It's not an automatic.
On the front page, it says non-MLN interlibrary loan items, $1 per day.
That's overdues.
That's
Overdue
correct.
fines, okay. But then, is there a fee, not an overdue fee, but just a fee?
To request something?
Yes,
No.
that
No.
isn't what you're saying, Gay Ellen?
What I'm saying is that if it's an OCLC, AKA it's coming from something that is out of state or coming from a library that is not part of one of the networks in the state, some of them will charge for material. Our rule is not to request things that have a charge, but in certain circumstances, sometimes that is the only way to get the item, at which point we then ask the patron if they're willing to do such a thing. And you should have an exception for that.
Okay, so I guess we'll leave that to some drafting, just to incorporate some little asterisk about such things. That we can't guarantee that we can get every material. Sometimes there's a charge if the patron is willing to pay. You know what? My suggestion is that we have you have another go at this. I think that those are the areas of confusion. Are there any other areas that anyone questions about the way this is now revised? Okay. How about that, Anne? Is that acceptable just to, we won't vote on that tonight. We'll vote next time?
That's fine with me.
Okay, terrific. Let us move on to old business. Website. Who wants to take that away, Rob or Dimitri maybe first?
I can address that. We have a kickoff meeting on Friday, February 19th. It'll be myself and Danielle and the department heads. As it's an hour-and-a-half meeting, they'll walk us through, we'll get started in the development. And it's understood with them that as we go through the process, if we need to fold in other library staff or trustees, we will do that. But to start off with, it'll be the department heads and myself and Danielle. And that's next Friday. That's a week from this Friday coming, I think.
That's with the developer.
Yep, that's with Sterling. Yeah, we have an account manager, Ali. I can't remember her last name. That we're going to be working with. So
In a Zoom meeting, right?
yes, a Zoom. Yes, absolutely. It's a Zoom meeting. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Anything else on website then? It sounds like there's a
That's
lot more to come.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more to come. We've sent them some material too, like you heard Gay speaking about style guide and all that. We've discussed a little bit of that. As a matter of fact, they made the meeting a little longer so we could talk a little bit more about styles and things like that. So yeah, so it's going, it's moving.
Yeah, nice going, everybody. Yeah, great. Equity and inclusion resolution. And you have a note about that in your report. You could have for programs, the MacGyver program and the diversity book discussion in January. Both those were January items. Under programs, I don't think you listed anything. They're the same ones that Anna will probably discuss later on under a different topic, but just in terms of a list.
Yeah.
Those should definitely be listed there, I would think.
Yeah.
Those two.
Okay.
January 27th and January 31st. Yeah, actually, you have them listed as somebody having attended them down below. So that's what we're talking about. The last paragraph in that provide anti-racist unconscious bias training heading.
Yes, Carol, those two particular events fall into their two categories.
No, I
They
know,
were
and
programming, so they could go in both. I agree.
well, somebody attended them, so you can say they were somebody attended a program, but in terms of the library actually sponsoring programs, I think it's really important to.
Oh, absolutely.
feature
I
them,
agree.
and more important even than attendance. Okay, but it looks good, and I'm really happy to see that somebody's and staff is going to be putting together some reading lists. I don't know whether they're the
Good.
same, all the same materials. Thanks. Yes, Anne.
They've done is 5 book lists and 1 movie list. And new diversity lists have been posted on the website too.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for alerting us. Yeah, great. That's really good because the other was a little stale by now. We've done a lot since those existing lists had been posted. Okay, so under strategic plan, we're talking about the existing strategic plan. You've all received a draft final report on fiscal 20 progress on the library's strategic plan goals. Would somebody have a motion to put it on the table?
I'll move to that the strategic plan final report be accepted.
Thank you. A second?
I second.
Thank you, Anna. Okay, discussion? Anyone? Anne? No? Okay. All right. Like to have a vote then. Thank you. I'll go down the list. Jay,
Aye.
in favor. Rob?
Aye.
Kay?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Rick?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
And as chair, I vote aye. Unanimously approved. Thank you very much. Next up, roadmap for achieving the strategic planning actions in the staffing area. I see that you wrote something up about this. Your thoughts on this so far, Anne?
I did. I've listed the questions that I have asked that I sent to the staff, but only 4 people responded. And like I said, the answers ranged from no to a couple of very good suggestions that I'll look into.
Mhm.
I just had a question because, maybe it's my fault, and if it is, to apologize for not being maybe as clear as, I could be in terms of what I was trying to get to, last month. But the thought was to try to anticipate where we need to go in the future, to sort of identify what we think the requirements are going to be. And of course, that's the whole idea of a strategic plan is to think of things strategically and look to the future and try to address what we think is going to happen. And then compare to where we are today and then develop a roadmap to decide where we're going to go. So I don't know, Ian, if you had any plans in terms of looking at what directions, where the trends are, and then comparing what the requirements is to address what we think is going to happen with analyzing the current staff and their expertise, and then try to determine where areas that be more directive in terms of maybe the development needs that may exist.
I think a lot will depend on when this pandemic is over and what we think we have learned from it, and noting how we're doing a lot with Zoom, and programming is being put on Facebook and YouTube. I think there's a lot of meetings that are now addressing things like that too. I think, Dimitri, did you have a?
Yeah, I was just going to add, I'm hoping to tie a lot of that in, obviously, with our new strategic plan and the person we're going to, and we'll talk about that afterwards, I know. I would also suggest to all of you, one of the big thought leaders in this field is a gentleman named R. David Lankes, Lankes. He is on the cutting edge of where libraries are going. He talks a lot about this. I've seen him at conferences, and I'm looking at a lot of his material to sort of see how to go forward. And I haven't articulated yet, but how to go forward in terms of making that analysis with our staff. In a very general way, our staff is taking a lot of training. We're doing a lot of what most libraries are doing these days, and it is going to look very different, especially after the pandemic. I don't think I keep using the term when full operations resume, it'll be different than what it was before, for sure. And I know we all know that, so.
Yeah, it's just that there has been a lot written, both now and in the past few years. There's been a lot, people trying to look into the future in terms of what the demands are and what the requirement, what people are, the libraries of the future and so forth. And the whole idea is to try to anticipate that and maybe address it and be more future oriented.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and again, it's a question of doing a sort of looking at what that looks like, and then what do we think the requirements would be for staff, looking at their current training and background, and determine whether or not there's areas that we could address to try to anticipate those needs. And again, this is a strategic plan. This is a 5-year plan. It's been 5 years, and we're at the same point we were 5 years ago in terms of a strategic, addressing things from a strategic standpoint. And, so what I'm hearing is, well, things are going to change. We'll look at it. We'll continue to look at it, but we're no further along than we were 5 years ago. And just, and it's an art, not a science. We're not going to be 100% sure where things are going to be. But if we're 50% there, then we're further ahead than we would be if we hadn't done this. So we should be taking a look at what the thought leaders are saying, try to anticipate where we think the needs are and what the patrons have been telling us, and what the ALA or the MBLC anticipates, and then look at that and say what do we need to do to address those things, and where's the staff in that regard, and then what areas do we, instead of asking the staff what things they would like to do, if we do this analysis, then we'd be able to direct them in terms of areas that we would think that they would want to be focusing on.
I mean, the only thing I would say to that, Rick, I don't disagree with you, but I've been here about 4 years, and I can see the change in the staff that we're hiring and the skills they're acquiring are heading in that direction. We can certainly, talk more about, but if you want a more formalized document of where the staff skills are at, we can certainly do that. But I can tell you that the staff that we have and the ones that we've hired, their skill set has risen to the challenge in terms of what we need to be doing going forward. And they're all,
Well, I'm hearing, I'm hearing from Rick that there's really a few steps. One is to sort of study where we think we might be going, what skills might be required. The next is to see what of those skills our current staff already has. And, 3 is to, identify which areas are deficient, needing more training, and provide that training to our staff, and be sure that we're hiring the right people in terms of new staff when we need to hire. Sort of a 3-step, kind of a logical process, but definitely a 3-step type process. Is that right, Rick?
Yeah, and it's a skills matrix in terms of trying to determine, but by not doing it in a formalized, structured way, I guarantee you'll never get staff added by the FinCom. Unless you can articulate where the library is going, where the needs are going to be coming from, looking at the current staff or staffing, and making a determination of whether or not we're going to be able to address those things based on the staff's experts, the current staff's expertise, where we need to develop the staff or where we need to add staff, you're not going to be able to make a cogent argument to the FinCom because you have nothing to tell them.
Can I add a question relating to that?
Yes, Jay.
I think I'm also curious to know, how our staffing compares to other comparable libraries in terms of full-time, part-time, and what the needs are, which ties into Rick's comment, which is, based on what is appropriate for this library, are we adequately staffed, not only in terms of qualifications for particular roles, but in terms of the amount of staff we have and the allocation between full-time and part-time staff. And I'm not sure if this inquiry includes, some investigating to see, how our staffing compares to other comparable libraries in comparable towns, because that would also be relevant, as Rick suggests, to the extent that we need to make a case to FinCom for additional staff.
I think some of that we did do in preparation for the meeting with the FinCom this past time, or at least I had some statistics that I think I provided, and I think we could do some more work on that. Rick had put a lot of that together for us and handed it to me in time for that meeting. And
have we ever shared all of that with all of the trustees in a way that's a useful reference? I remember being impressed by some of the information, but I'm not sure if that's been distributed among all the trustees.
I'll have to look back. If you don't have it, I did send it and it's become lost in time, or
Okay.
I'll send it again. In any case, doesn't matter. As I say, I don't think it's, it all sort of depends on which libraries do you compare yourself to. There was some criticism by at the end of that FinCom meeting that we, were cherry picking which systems we were comparing ourselves to so that we would look like we were understaffed or underspending, which was, I don't believe, where those library comparisons came from. But I think we could look again at which libraries we want to, line ourselves up next to.
Basically, the libraries that were chosen were primarily, Greg had done an analysis using, I think, 2014 figures, and he shared those with the trustees at, this is 2014 figures, so this probably was around 2015, 2016.
16,
It
right.
takes a little while. So to compare apples to apples, I used the same towns that Greg selected back in 2014, just so that we had some continuity.
But whether those were how he chose those towns, I think we could take another look at whether, those are the best towns to compare ourselves to. I think library leadership could probably have some pretty good input on that. We also could see, well, when the school committee comes out with comparisons, which other schools do they compare themselves to? Which other town school systems? Yes, Rob.
For what it's worth, Rick, not having known that you had prepared that, I did my own research and pulled up about a dozen towns. I just kind of picked a bunch of towns in the 128 corridor with a similar population size, but a variety of towns. And I found that we were close to the bottom in terms of per capita spending, as well as, I forget what the other metric was, but I was trying to figure out, percentage of town budget spending. We were close, not quite at the bottom, but very close to it for both of those. And I believe in each case that for most of the peer towns, it excluded capital expenditures. So it was apples to apples. So I'd be happy, to the extent we want to combine that in the future. My findings were certainly consistent with what you found.
Yeah. Okay. And then Tom.
Just to reiterate that, I do think Rick's idea to really plan out the staffing needs of the future is very important, given that when the library reopens, this is going to be a real kind of a seismic shift. I mean, as we heard at the end of the FinCom meeting, the fact that the library has been able to function without the building being open suggests that a library as a physical entity may no longer be necessary. And I don't think any of us envision that to be the case, and that there may be some real forward thinking that needs to happen in terms of possibly rebranding the idea of a library, Needham Library and Cultural Center. So, you know, some real kind of where do we want to go? Who are we going to need to reach that point? And what skills should they have is really going to be an important thing upon reopening. So just to,
So that we aren't diminished
Yes.
going forward. Yes.
Right. The last thing we want to do is let the reinvention or reimagining of the library be used as an excuse to cut basic services.
right.
Correct.
And I feel that that was very much the desire when those comments were mentioned.
Yeah. Okay, Tom, you are next.
Yes, I had something. The town has a community profile of about 10 times, and the town and finance committee also likes to see us right in the middle of those.
Yeah.
As for the schools, the state lists schools in a K of C. K, nothing to do with fried chicken. K, kind of community. And they, that's what they look at a lot, the state. I don't know if the school does that, but the state looks at that in terms of state aid and things like that. So, but I think, you know, and as for apples and oranges, I think the ones that Greg had found out before were pretty much apples to apples, with a few exceptions. There's you have to say that we don't pay for our building maintenance. Some towns do.
Yeah, I think that actually, when you look at the statistics that Ann submits and all other of the libraries submit, you can kind of tease that out as to which ones have separate sort of own janitorial staff on their in their own budget, and whether they're paying for building or not paying for the building itself. So I think that we'll be able to tease that out, so that we are comparing apples to apples when we say that we're wherever we are in that scale, which appeared to be near the bottom. I don't care if we're at the top. That's not the Needham way to be, have the most expensive house on the block. You want to be, at least in the middle, though, I would think, to provide what services the community really needs, especially those who need the services the most. We need to have the library up to snuff on that for those people as well, whoever they may be. And I don't think we are even sure who they are, because we haven't fully explored that. Another part of the strategic plan that we're almost done with. So, okay, are we?
I saw Ann had her hand up.
Go ahead, Ann.
Tom said what I was going to say.
Oh, all right. Okay. So I think there is some question when we go to comparing. I've seen the town compare itself to Avon, Massachusetts. I have no idea why Avon. I don't know anything about Avon myself, why that's the favored town. I don't know whether they're tight-fisted or they like to compare to that, or I have no idea. But it's not a town that comes immediately to mind when I think of, other similar communities. Maybe it is, I don't know. Is there anything else on this? And we'll move along. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I think that the point has been made that we need to do more formal future, facing planning on this point of staffing. And we need to all do our reading, and hopefully leadership will put together, some thoughts about where we might be going from the reading that Dimitri and others mentioned.
Actually, let me send that name out to everybody.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I think I've read something by him, but I can't recall just what. All right, well, let's keep pushing. Marketing and outreach, is there anything specific to that? Gay Ellen, thank you for the latest newsletter.
You're welcome.
And it was good to see that you put a link to the art exhibit, virtual exhibit there.
I've
Which
got
I-
that on our events page.
Yeah.
I also repeat the show on our main page, even though it's buried way at the bottom.
Yeah, yeah, but it's good, that you can, it's not hard to access, even though it may not be the way we want it when we get a new website.
One thing.
Yes, Kay.
So on marketing outreach, could I ask Gail, and can we get the art exhibit onto the Facebook and Instagram pages?
We can't put it, we can certainly put, I thought I actually sent the bio that we did for the artist this month to our Facebook, Instagram team, for them to put that up, that little box that was on the page, as well as the link there. I thought that went out, so I will double check that.
I
But that
didn't
is
see
how we've
anything
been
on
doing
the,
it.
I didn't see anything on the Facebook page. I think it'd be nice to get a photo up, one of the photographer's photos onto Facebook, just announcing the exhibit.
I can certainly do that. Once I get it, I think it may be, well, I will see what I can do. Depending on who's in tomorrow, I will ask them to put it up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Rick,
I'm just going to jump ahead because I was going to make a comment on the Facebook comments. So Dimitri, in the past month, I've ceased sharing the library's posts with the Needham Facebook page, but
Okay.
I've not seen library posts on the Needham Facebook page. So I think our agreement was that going forward, you have the ability to post to it, but I haven't seen that.
Let me talk to Sarah about that. My understanding was that we were, but if you haven't seen it, I'll check with her and get
Yeah.
back to you.
Yeah, I see the library one, but I would think I would see it twice, once at the library and then once in the Needham Facebook group page, but I haven't.
I'll check on that. I'll talk to Sarah. I'll check on that and I'll let you know what's
Good.
going on.
okay, all right. Diversity programs, Anna, do you have anything? Congratulations on 2 very fine programs. It's in the end of January.
Yeah, we the one January 27th with Tayari Jones was really great. We had 48 attendees from other towns and states. And we recorded the event, so we are we're going to be uploading that soon.
Actually, it's already uploaded.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I thought we were looking at that.
I got permission from Ann, who
Oh, got
double
it.
checked with the
Thank you.
town manager, so it's been done.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay.
We'll send you a little blurb that wanted to for the description. Usually we like to have a little bit of a context, so I'll send that to
I
you.
think I actually grabbed what we had on the website for the sign up. I think that's what I sent to
Okay.
Danielle to add to it.
Let me look at that. I wanted to see we wanted to add something about the author also. So, and a link to her website. So I'll just take a quick look. And the January 31st event was the story time. We had 28 folks who actually, they were families because they were probably I will double that number. So maybe about 50 something attendees because there were several siblings and parents. And that was for the skin on my chin, I believe. It's the, yeah. And that was also well attended, well received. We are gearing up for the one on February 21st at MacGyver. I'm actually, we're kind
Both,
of
you can
double
report on-
dipping here. so-
Yeah, just
so-
report on both while we're at it. Yeah.
Okay, so February 21st is going to be a discussion with, let me just grab this here.
Gloria Grice.
Dr. Gloria Grice and Reverend Katie Scudera, and it's about enslavement in Needham, reckoning with a difficult history. And I've been actually posting everywhere, Rick, so I took over your job of Facebook. And so far we have, I don't know, Galen, you have numbers?
You've got
of-
59 people who have signed up for it.
Okay, wonderful. So that is in the works. And that's all for now.
Yeah,
If you're doing the MacGyver, don't forget you have a 3rd program coming up.
Oh,
in
we're doing the
March.
MacGyver too.
I think.
if you want to go ahead, you
Yeah,
can go ahead
okay.
if you wish.
All
Yeah.
right, sure, just to get it done. So March 7th, just mark your calendars and I will be emailing all of you. We have confirmed the first all-female mariachi band. Some members of the band are going to be performing. There'll be I think 3 or 4 ladies, and this is New England's first all-female mariachi band. So
Wow.
That's great. That's wonderful.
Should be
so
wonderful.
and
Yeah.
we're going to be celebrating International Women's Day on March 7th at 2 p.m.
Wonderful.
I can tell you that the form is already up for you guys to sign up.
Great.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I have to tell you, I lose track of my confirmations. I'm sure there's a good way to keep those organized, but I'm always going through my too many emails trying to find my my invitation. But
Usually some will have the ability to add it to your calendar.
yeah, some do, but yeah. Okay.
Actually, Assabet will let you do that. It will
Mm.
give you, depending on what you're using for email, it will give you the ability to add it to a Google Calendar or something else.
Okay, all right. Well, that's my personal problem, not all of yours. I'm sure you've got it figured out. So, Anna, is that it for those 2 topics?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, super. New strategic plan. Dimitri, do you want to?
Sure. So we have identified a consultant. I need to talk to Jay so we could both talk to him, but his name is Chuck Flaherty. He has sent us his resume and I've talked with him. He's in Florida with his wife till March 8th, but he's available to set up a Zoom meeting and talk with him. So Wellesley used them a couple of years ago. They were very happy with him. And I think he's working in Woburn right now. Either he just finished up or he's finishing up with them. And he's been used by many libraries. With we got good references, especially the director in Wellesley was really happy with him. So, and
How many did you consider?
I considered 4, and after I'm discovering through the pandemic is the one that Jay and I met with. They've lost part of their team or the people that help them with it. So Chuck, this gentleman that we're considering, works independently, but he also works with the library staff and library administration. So we'll do a lot of lead work too, and he'll help us in structuring, putting it together. That's what he did in Wellesley too.
Okay, Tom.
Yeah,
Yes,
Chuck Flaherty was the former director of Framingham, former director of Brookline,
Yep.
and a Simmons classmate of mine.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I think you mentioned him last
I
meeting.
did. I think I did. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It wasn't in the minutes. I don't know why.
All right, well, more to come on that, I think.
More to come. More to come.
I'll just add that I think both Dimitri and I are scheduled to attend a web seminar about strategic planning
Yes,
later this
yeah.
month.
Yeah, yes, we are.
Sorry, I'm just making a note to myself.
Okay.
So Facebook, I think we've already gone over that one, as it happens. We do not have a report on any of the strategic plan goals, the interim report. So we're just going to table that one. Kay, you were working on this really very, very far along stage public facing document on the library highlights for 2020 calendar, actually 2020.
Right.
You want to?
Yes. I sent it all around to folks. I did a kind of a draft that you should take a look at now. And I did get some comments from Anne and also from Carol. Typically, like last year when we did this, it was for the fiscal year, which ends in June. But this year, because for the obvious reason that, the library had to make so many changes throughout the entire year of 2020 and really stepped up to the plate in an amazingly efficient and effective way. We wanted to talk about that, the full 2020. So that's basically what did the library accomplish in 2020. It's heavily focused on, safety first, of course, the most important thing. And then how did the library adapt to, the curbside pickup, all the online programs. And so that's what it describes. And if statistics wise, that's a little funny because the normal statistics end once again in June. So it's a little hard it's hard to compare. But I guess Anne said there may be, Deb Lovett is possibly putting together some new ones for the calendar year. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Good. So I can, once those come out, I can insert some that might be relevant into this document. And, you know, if other people have input, now's the time, or between now and the next meeting is the time, so that we can, you know, produce it and.
Have you shared this report with us for us to give input on? I don't recall.
Yes, I assume I had your name in the email. I think it was yesterday. Yes, after I had Carol take a look at it, and so I sent it out to everybody yesterday. I can resend.
Got it. I got it. Just yesterday. Fair
Okay.
enough.
Yeah,
Yep.
yesterday. And as I say, Anne has provided some feedback since then, which I have, are not in the version that you have. But you know, if anybody has anything, and then last year we did, it's a 2-page version. Once everybody adds in everything they want, it tends to be 2 pages, but then Anne requested a 1-pager, which requires shrinking it back down quite substantially again. So we have to decide if we want a 1-pager again this year.
Anna?
You could print both sides and you end up with 1 page.
That's
Right?
true.
One quick thing here, actually a couple of quick things. The diversity, I would change the title diversity to diversity, equity and inclusion.
Diversity, equity and inclusion. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, equity seems is a key word in this particular here.
That makes sense.
And also, I'm not sure how, because there's so much information. I think I remember us having the same challenge last time. I wonder if there's any way to have a visual, like a table with the key numbers, so that it draws my attention, because I am, maybe I'm getting old. It's a lot to read. There's a lot of information, so
problem is we don't have good key numbers this year because of the reason I explained, that the fiscal year numbers are really bad. They don't the fiscal year numbers, if you look at them, they don't really reflect what we want, the message we want to get out there. And then, you know, I assume that the 2020 numbers that we're coming out with are probably not going to be that great if you compare this year's numbers to last year's numbers, because of the whole shutdown. So
right. But why do we have to compare? Why don't we just say what it is? Personally, when I remember a few meetings ago, we had month by month 20,000, 16,000 curbside pickups. Those are thousands of items. To me, those, let's work with what we have.
It's a very impressive number. And I think,
yeah.
So
I don't
if I get those numbers for 2020, I could put them in. But I don't have them right now.
Excuse me, Anne, there's no magic to the fiscal year, is there, except that you've already added it up? But we have those statistics month by month, don't we?
We do.
Yeah, so there's really no reason. It's just that maybe we haven't had the, you know, circulation supervisor, you know, on the job to be able to get the number for you. But there's no real reason why we shouldn't be able to just add all the months to months together.
Or even maybe just pick a few, you know, a few numbers. I know in the past we've done, you know, a really good methodical way of comparing month by month from the previous year, but now we don't have that. So let's work with what we have. But I think there's a lot of a big compelling story to tell about the numbers. I mean, they're doing amazing work, and that the amounts are significant. I will be impressed with thousands of items a month. I mean, I think that story needs to be told.
Yes. So
I just don't know
and
how.
Also, if we could have the number of programs, I don't think, unless you've put that out and I haven't seen it, the number of programs that we've held.
I don't know if they're count programs. That's a good question.
It's on the sheet.
It's on the sheet?
Hmm.
Which sheet?
Could be the monthly sheet that we're waiting for.
Oh,
we're
okay.
waiting for.
Okay,
We're
great.
waiting for. Okay. Yep.
And
Good.
just a question for Ann and Dimitri, because I'll be doing sort of a presentation based off of this that I'm hoping to kind of delve back into some older data as well, so we can kind of look at trends over the past 5, 10, even 20 years. Is there a master set of data anywhere with all of these numbers going back further, you know, a few years back at least?
There are booklets and file folders in the archives that contain all the minutes and reports that we use every month for the trustees meeting, and there's always a statistic sheet with it.
Okay.
And Danielle-
Is there a single spreadsheet somewhere though?
No,
Okay.
But you have, and you have, well, you've been in charge, you've prepared an annual statistics, not only
right, that's
reporting to ARIS, but also for the trustees, correct?
right.
And I saw Danielle waving her hand before. I'm guessing Danielle wouldn't get that from annual reports, right? From our library's annual reports.
You're muted, Danielle.
Yeah, as Ann was saying, they're in archives in the little file folder. They're all individually, separated by fiscal year.
Yeah,
They're in there.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we can take those and, just take some of the numbers from them.
And I see Rick has a,
yeah,
Rick, you're next.
yeah. I mean, it begs the question. It's 2021. Why wouldn't this information be on a spreadsheet? Because once it's on there, there's so much you can do with it in terms of analyzing and giving graphic presentations. The fact that in 2021, we still have it on paper where you can't, you'd have to look at the paper.
Well,
I think going forward, certainly going forward, we should be having a spreadsheet year over year over year. And then if we had the time to sort of build a spreadsheet with the past year's information.
We do have a sheet that's for every year, a compilation of the yearly figures.
I think Rick's suggesting though that there should be some computerized, easily referable source of all this information. Is that right, Rick? I'm not sure. I
Yes.
think.
Yes. Because then you can, doing a year over year comparisons, you can do, there's so much you can do with an Excel spreadsheet.
Well, we also can use, I
Enter the figures.
say that again, Ann?
We just have to have someone to enter the figures.
Mhm.
But we have the figures they're in paper form. They're-
Okay.
And it's 2021. It's,
That's the best way to save things.
There is also, you'll be next, Anna. There is also the ability to go on the MBLC site to get Needham figures for these years, which have been made available electronically. You do have to look up year by year, but you can reach them. If you're looking for a particular statistic, you can reach them, the statistic that way, and that might be simpler.
I'll take a look at that.
Always
Yeah.
up to date.
Say that again, Ann.
Your statistics are not always up to date.
No, these are not. I think they end with 2018, Rick, what was it, the latest?
yeah, I
2018
think it's like 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, so we can add our own, but that's a good start. Anna,
Could we, to Rick's point, so we don't have the records the way we would like them to have them. Could we start now doing this? So that from now on, we can start building that information and electronically?
You show me on a piece of paper what you want, and we'll figure it out from that.
To be preserved in archives, it will eventually have to be turned back into paper format.
Yeah, but at least it's easier from the electronic format to do that's easier than the opposite.
If you can send me a scan of one of these, I'd be happy to mock up, just a simple spreadsheet. And it wouldn't take a whole lot of time to input most of this data, especially if it's just a year by year thing. But it's just helpful because then it helps to spot trends over time.
You already have one for the whole year of last fiscal year.
Right, but for spotting longer term trends, plus it could help us make our case if we can show that there's been consistent growth in certain areas.
Yeah.
The sheet that you have from the last fiscal year is a replication, except for the numbers changing, of several years back. Any figure you want to know from several years back, we can find.
Yes, a spreadsheet that you can do a comparison.
Onto a sheet, onto an Excel sheet.
Okay, I think we're kind of reaching a dead end here. There's one camp who would like to be able to have access to many years at once without having to ask you for anything because it's already put together. And
Probably, but it's not put together.
you're saying it can be put together, but that's not convenient. So, maybe if we have a format, at least going forward, and as time allows going backward, we can fill in, and we'll allow Rob to prepare what he's thinking of, which is some kind of a presentation, I think, that might be suitable for introducing FinCom to the library, and what's been happening and what is offered here.
Is there somebody on the staff who would be able to input the data based on an Excel spreadsheet that Rob might be able to sort of?
The person who keeps the statistics, the person who does the statistics sheets every month, that would be part of her job.
The circulation statistics?
Yes. Tom has his hand up.
Thank you, Ann. Tom?
Yes, the one thing you have to, for all these years, I've been getting these statistics, and the thing is, the forms have changed over the years. New items are added. Believe me, when I started in 1976, there was no downloads and things like that. And there were records, vinyl records, and things like that. But they were, so I think that you'd have to do some manipulating of that spreadsheet to go back every year. You know what I mean? Because there would be every few years those statistic reports changed.
I'm looking at the MBLC statistics right now. These are actually amazingly detailed, and they only do it year by year. But I can honestly, there's enough here where I can start just compiling these for Needham for a few years back. It wouldn't take that long.
Okay, all right. It doesn't go back, very far. I don't know whether it goes back to, what is 07 or?
I think it goes, at
9.
least for some of these, it goes back to about 2000, I believe. So that would be enough to get some meaningful trends out of that.
Yeah, okay. All right, enough said. Let's move on. Kay, do you have more about the art committee other than the publicity?
Just to say, so we have Sam Williams, the Black Lives Matter photographer, this month, and I just encourage everybody to click through and take a look at the, all the really excellent and interesting photos he's produced. And then Gay Allen has reached out for next month to Diane Bell, who's a beautiful watercolor artist. So that she's definitely on board for next month. And then I think we're talking, we actually have to hold another meeting for it's probably time for us to get the committee together again. We are missing our Friends meeting member. As we know, Carol Goldberg resigned. I've reached out to John Lechner on the Friends, but I have not gotten a response from him. So I need to follow up and probably reach out to more Friends members. I'll follow up with him again, and then also reach out to more Friends.
You could, I suppose, reach out to the Friends. Jay can, I don't know who would be the best person, but they could broadcast that you're trying to locate somebody and see if they can find either a suggestion or someone who wants to volunteer themselves.
Who's is there a person who's
Bruce Barnett is the president of the Friends.
Bruce Barnett? Maybe I should send him a message and just say we're looking for someone.
You probably even have the mailing list, for all the members of the board, because
I think I might.
And it might be useful instead of just sending it to him to send it to the larger group.
I'll look and see if I have it, and if not, I'll ask you for it.
Yeah, good.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll forward you the last email, or Gay Allen probably has it too.
Yeah, I do. Jan Bowen probably would be your best bet. She's the recording secretary. And in all likelihood, she'll get the message out more than Bruce can, because Bruce is very busy with his law practice. And
yeah, Jan's great.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Kay, on the art?
No, I'm waiting for an answer back from our April artist because we did choose one and I believe she's already been approved, but I've not yet heard back from her.
Okay.
Okay, so we're
And
waiting. Yeah,
April-
and I did have one other question. Gail, do we typically have, and maybe others know, Art and Bloom is usually in May, is that correct?
No, actually, it would
March.
be in
March.
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 And
Oh,
they
okay.
actually have
Okay.
asked me if I'd be willing to host a slideshow of their previous, or actually they're doing something. If I'd be willing to host a slideshow of their pictures. I'm tempted to say yes and just put it below our own exhibit, provided they can get it to me in time
Oh, for March?
for March. So
I honestly would think, can we slot them into a different month?
Yeah.
And when you say they, we're talking about the high school artists, right?
we're
No,
talking about the
Art
high
and
school
Bloom.
artists with a floral display.
Yeah, but how will we do a floral display?
They would be sending me the pictures to go along with the actual display.
All right, well.
So I'm gonna find out more what they're doing, what they proposed to send me. I told them that we could not mount because we cannot put video up on our current site.
I don't think I'm just thinking about it. It just doesn't seem quite right to me that if you ask an artist like Diane Bell, Diane Bell, to display, then all of a sudden you're going to be teaming it up with something else that's also worthy of its own show, I would think. Is there any chance of maybe doing Art in Bloom pictures in March and postponing Diane Bell till April? Or
I've already asked Diane and she's going ahead to do this for us. I really do not want to put her off. However, there is May still available.
That's what I was wondering about.
that's
there
the
is
high
May.
school mark.
I don't expect I'm going to see stuff from the high school.
Yeah.
The only other option I had for May was going to be suggesting that we contact Open Studios, who may or may not be doing their Open Studio event the first weekend in May, and see if they want to send me pictures. And we'll put that up like we normally would for what would have been our April exhibit.
Okay. So we can develop that further at the committee meeting.
I think so.
Yeah, I think this is something for the committee to, explore. Okay, thank you, Kay. McIver, I think we've already finished. Friends, Jay, do you have anything?
Well, I'll mention that we've had a few very successful programs over the last month. Two programs, one from the Oxford English Dictionary and a woman who came to talk about crossword puzzles. I don't know what the final tally was, but there were, I think, almost 200 people who were registered at least in advance.
Give me a moment and I'll give you some figures.
I think for sure more than 100 for at least the Oxford English Dictionary and the crossword puzzle event, which were, I think, both very interesting. And I wasn't at the one this past Sunday about climate change, so I'm not sure how many people, but all in all, the Friends had, I think, a very successful programming month. I think even a couple of you might have been at one or two of those events also.
I missed the OED, but the climate change one, you can see how many people are participating in any given moment, but I saw in the 70s, that was an excellent put together. There wasn't exactly tons of new things I had never heard before, although there were some, but that's going to be posted. And I think it's well worth sharing with your friends. And
that's actually already up.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I asked them and they told me 80 people for the climate change. For the crossword puzzle, they had 125. And give me just a second and I will give you the numbers for Oxford. Just find it in my sheet.
I think it might have
I
been
have
around.
140.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay.
That's-
Jay, anything coming up that we should know about, or?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's next after the climate change. I'm not sure. Gail, and you
Yes,
might
I
know.
do. The next one is we have the psychedelic drug program coming up. And that is coming up, I believe, let me quickly take a look again.
Be careful of the refreshments.
It's not 420, is it? That it's going to be,
Okay, no, it's not. It's gonna be on, it's on March 21st. It's Dr. Franklin King IV. Psychedelic Renaissance is what the topic is, and it's going to be talking about psychedelic drugs as medical therapy with the potential to help people with addictions and depressions. Dr. King is a Mass General Hospital psychiatrist, and is part of the investigation behind the usage of these drugs.
I think a relative also of Margaret Pantridge, if I'm not.
It's her stepson.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'd forgotten the name connection. Yeah. Okay, great. Sounds interesting. Joan, you're up.
Yes, hello.
Library Foundation, thank you.
Yes, we approved grants at our last meeting for the Children's Department, $930 worth of grants. And for the adults, $1,150 worth of grants. And we're looking forward to them. And as of now, the foundation has almost a little over 1,600,000 in our lightship account, which I think is comforting to know.
Yeah, it's great. It's been well invested.
Yes, yes, yes. And the little free libraries, even with the snows, continue to do really well. I mean, really being used in the town, which is nice. And that's it. I just have to say, though, I attended the Diversity Book Club, and I was just blown away. It was, I mean, if you attended, it was incredible. So I just want to say kudos to Anna and her group.
I really enjoyed that book. You couldn't forget that it had a diversity element to it because the story itself, but in terms of characters, there were
Yeah.
very interesting characters. They felt fairly real, and they were nuanced.
Yeah,
They grab you from the first page.
yeah.
Yeah.
And to hear the author speaking, she was incredible.
Yeah, she was kind of a live wire. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Joan.
If I can just go back just a second, because I probably should have mentioned, but you know, the foundation talked about a donation, and I forget the exact amount, but I believe the Friends also made a generous contribution. Ann, do you remember how much? I forget exactly how much it was. Was it $40,000 or?
Much more than that. I
Yeah.
have in my drawer locked up for deposit tomorrow with the town hall, a check for $31,100.
In
And then
grants, or these are,
that are direct payment too. So it came to, I think, to just under $40,000.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You know, so it's worth giving them credit as well for their generosity.
and these are in grants that you asked for, correct? You had a list of requests?
I had my annual wish list for the Friends.
Okay. Great.
Thank you to the foundation for the support.
That's wonderful. And I don't know how
Thank
we
you.
manage without all of that, really. It reflects an awful lot of community input and volunteer time to have raised those funds.
Right.
We are, believe it or not, it's 8:41 and we're up to trustee comments. Tom, I can
okay.
count on you.
Yes, you can. That's because I'm too slow before. But a question about request and reserves.
Yes.
I think request is a term we should be using, because in other libraries, especially academic and school libraries, reserves are things that set aside for particular courses or use, and they're use in overnight maybe, or in library use in library only for 2 hours. That's the reserve word for reserve. So
Mhm.
that could be confusing to some people. So I think request handles it better.
Yeah, I don't think we should, at least we shouldn't have two different terms floating around. Might be clearer, at least would be clearer to me. Any other trustee comments? Okay. Well, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So
I
moved.
move to adjourn.
No, nobody wants to adjourn. Everybody wants to stay here all night. Second,
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 thank you. All in favor? Jay,
Aye.
Rob,
aye.
Kay,
Aye.
Anna,
aye.
Rick,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and the chair votes in favor. Thank you all. The motion passes unanimously. See you all around or definitely next meeting. So thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, everyone.